Hello, this is Spellsquires MCG, and today I have my review on the Black-White Sliverquill Statement precon commander deck. The commander of this deck is Brina the Demagogue, 1 white and a black, very cheap commander there. Legendary creature, Bird Warlock, flying. Whenever a player attacks one of your opponents, if that player has more life than another opponent, that attacking player draws a card, and you put 2+1/+1 counters on the creature you control. So this deck is a politicking deck, where you dissuade people from attacking you, and you survive into the long game so you can bring out your heavy hitters, sort of help your opponents along the way, make them kill themselves, and then you finish them off with your recursion engines and things like that. Let's get on to the stats of this deck. This deck has 9 ramp cards. You could probably do one more, but it's 9 ramp cards, which I'd say are in the right slot. However, there's about 12 if you include things like Coveted Jewel, which I'd not say is a ramp card, and also Tempting Contract, which makes treasure tokens if your opponents make them. I wouldn't class those as ramp because they're a bit too high mana cost. Next up, we have card draw. I'd say there's 8 pieces of card draw in here because you've got 7, and then you've got Coveted Jewel as well. That draws you 3 cards. A lot of the card draw is pretty good in here. A lot of its card draw engines or a Restless Explorer isn't particularly great because it just gets you planes into your hand, but then again, it's only costs 2 mana, so it's not that bad. 3 board wipes around where we want them. The two of them are pretty good. They cost 5 mana, another one's 7 mana. A bit too expensive. Deathbringer Region, I'm not sure why this is in the deck, but I would recommend including a cheaper board wipe in there instead. Removal, very good, 6. A lot of it's pretty good removal again, especially Fracture, a new one, which is 2 mana instant, destroy target artifacts, enchantment or planeswalker. It's an uncommon, so it's really good. Utter End is very flexible and it's exile. The removal there is right where we want. The value of this deck is right around par, $97.58 of reprints. That includes every single card in the deck, apart from new cards, of course. What is the most expensive card? The most expensive card is Deathbringer Liege. Deathbringer Liege is a 2 white, black, white, black, white, black, so hybrid mana cost there. Creature horror. Other white creatures you control get +1/+1, and other black creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever you play a white spell, you may tap target creature. When you play a black spell, you may destroy target creature if it's tapped. This deck does do a bit of tapping around, so even if you cast a black spell, you can do it. However, just a white spell on its own is pretty good because you get the incidental tap, and you can disincentivize people from, or stop them from attacking you in the first place. And of course, if you play a white and black spell, then you get to do both in that order, so you get to tap something and destroy it afterwards, which is pretty good to be honest, because you get to make deals with people and say, I'm going to knock out that card which is most threatening card at the table. Then for the second, third and fourth cards are all taken up by cards which cost $5.99. One of them is Miko Koro, Center of the Sea. This is a land, it taps for a colourless, we can pay 2 and each player draws a card. Pretty good in a group hug style politicking deck because you can say, look at me, I'm giving you cards. You're probably not going to attack them because you're getting value off it. Then we have Windborn Muse, which is also $5.99. 3 and a white, creature spirit, flying. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature she controls that's attacking you, so it's Ghostly Prison on a creature. Very good here. You want to be disincentivizing people from attacking you as many ways as possible. Your commander does it by giving your opponents value. This does it by saying you have to pay mana. You're more likely going to attack someone where you don't have to pay mana because it's a bit of a waste otherwise. Then the last card is Selfless Squire. 3 and a white, human soldier, flash. When it enters the battlefield, prevent all damage shall be dealt to you this turn. Whenever damage would be dealt to you as prevented, put that many counters on Selfless Squire. So this card says, flash me down, and I will basically just say, you can't deal damage to me, however you can still deal damage to their creatures, and possibly kill some of them as well. Pretty good little card there from C16 originally, getting a reprint here, definitely need it. Then we have Curse of Disturbance. This card reads 2 and a black, enchantment or a curse. Whenever enchanted player is attacked, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Each player attacking that opponent does the same. You put this on an opponent, they want you to attack them, get their life total down, send creatures away from you again. The rest of this deck is doing. Pretty good card there. How many new cards are in this deck? Overall, there are 60 new cards, including your commander. Most of them are pretty good new cards. Some of them are a bit highly costed, I'll say. I'll definitely send me some of the legendary creatures in here. Definitely send white and black in different directions. Like Fane the Broker. He's a very good utility commander because you can do a lot of stuff. So the new cards look pretty good on that front. And of course there are a couple from the Strixhaven set. So some of the best new cards from this deck are Cunning Rhetoric. This is 2 black enchantment. whenever an opponent attacks you and or one of your planeswalkers you control, exile the top card of that player's library. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana as though any mana of any colour to cast it. So this disincentivizes people to attack you because it says you draw cards off their library. Often people don't want you having that card because it could be a combo piece, synergy, might be a card they want, so they're just going to look away. Either if you are the biggest threat at the table, they are going to have to attack you. You have more ways to keep yourself alive. Keen Duelist, 1 and a black, creature, human wizard. With your upkeep, you and target opponent each reveal the top card of your library. You each lose life equals the mana value of the card revealed by the other player. You put the card you revealed into your hand, so this is a 2/2. Both of you lose life equal CMC of the card at the top. However, you're the only one who draws the card, so it's not like they're going to get card draw as well. However, this card costs 2 mana, so you can do it early on in the game, and you can start getting a value engine together to start making your opponents attacking each other, so you can finish off the game later on. Later on in the game, this isn't so good, but because it's so cheap, it's a pretty good card. Next, we have Promise of Loyalty, 4 and a white. Each player puts a Vow counter on the creature they control and sacrifices the rest. Each of those creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control for as long as it has a Vow counter on it. So this card, it's board wipes basically, and it makes them sacrifice as well. Sacrificing gets around indestructible, so it gets rid of gods and stuff from places like Theros. Because those creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control, if you put it on a creature you have, that can still attack. Commander isn't a good example. And those creatures can still attack your opponent. So those cards is probably going to be the biggest creature. They're going to have to send them around at their opponents, whittling them down over time. It's just generally a pretty good set of new cards in here. Possible upgrades, quite a few here, because I'd say this deck definitely needs them. I haven't been able to play test this deck because you need to use multiplayer. You can't really goldfish with it very well. I can't tell you whether it needs more cards of a certain category by playing it. Keep of the Accord. This is a 3 and a white human soldier. It says at the beginning of each end step, if an opponent controls more creatures than you, you create a 1/1 human soldier. You do the same for lands, but you get basic planes on battlefield tapped. This deck wants to help your opponents just enough to put them in the right direction. They're probably going to be able to make more land drops than you, and because they're in green, they can probably get more lands into play, which allows you to ramp along with them. And because it's each end step, if an opponent's got 5 or so lands more than you, you can keep on ramping until you catch up with them, of course. Pretty good card in any white deck, but especially in this sort of strategy. Course of Ambition and Course of Grace both give you the Monarch, and they both benefit you from having the Monarch during your upkeep. Course of Ambition, 2 and 2 black. When it enters battlefield, you become the Monarch, as I said before. At the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses 3 life unless they discard a card. If you're the Monarch, instead you lose 6 life and discard 2 cards. This is great because people aren't going to be able to attack us and steal the Monarch. Same with Court of Grace. This one makes our opponents lose life slowly, which is something we want, and makes them lose cards out their hand, which is very good because we can slow them down a bit. Court of Grace creates a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying, and if you're the Monarch, create 4/4 angel creature tokens with flying instead. This, because we can keep the Monarch so well, we can generate an army of angels and eventually build up enough power to win the game with those 4/4 angels, as they are evasive and they're a reasonable size as well. Next up we have Ancient Craving. This is 3 and a black. Draw 3 cards and lose 3 life. We already have Ambition's Cost in here. It's just basically exactly the same card. Does the same thing. Definitely necessary card because you need a bit more card draw in this deck. Night's Whisper, 1 and a black. Lose 2 life, draw 2 cards. Simple again. Same with Silent Blood. Just get a bit more card advantage. Our commander does it, but we also want to be able to get a bit extra because otherwise we'll be short on cards, and we want to be able to, as this deck's got quite a few early cards, we want to have card draw so we can fill up our hand earlier on because there's so many lower cost creatures in this deck, so you can draw in some of the higher cost cards later on in the game. And also I'd recommend adding another board wipe, like anything which really fits your meta. So if your meta run a lot of artifacts and enchantments, so with like Austere Command would be great because that can wipe creatures, or you can wipe artifacts and enchantments. Or if you own a Wrath of God, you could just put that in there. Or you can run a Crux of Fate or something. Whatever fits your meta, just add another board wipe, which costs 4 to 5 mana, or 6 if it's really flexible. You can also put Merciless Eviction here, which is a very effective board wipe because it exiles. Would I recommend buying this deck? When I first saw this deck, I wasn't really sure if it'd be good or not, but as I'm looking through the cards, it looks pretty fun to play. There's a lot of politicking, which is usually quite fun. I like people not really touching my stuff, so this is really a good deck to do that because it protects you from being attacked and also protects, sort of steers focus away from you and on to your opponents because they're going to be the ones attacking each other because they want that card draw. This deck's one of the cheaper ones out of the 5. It's around £30 on website I've seen. So it's definitely a pretty good price for the cards you get, as there is that $97 worth of value. I'll definitely get this deck if you're into this sort of thing. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.